Let me pull up my chat. Um, Today I'm going to be working on my mock-up for my little summer shirt. You know what? I should probably have the pattern in here with me, but that's all right. It's the one I've been working on. It's got a little tie front, and today I'm going to sew hopefully a wearable mock-up. It should be. Come on, this is taking forever. Okay, here we go. All right, so I have already interfaced all my pieces, but I didn't overlock the edges yet, or the seam allowances yet. So I am going to sew the darts and stuff, and then I'm going to quickly overlock kind of as I go right over here. And that's what I'm going to do. And my instructions are in the other room, but I'm just gonna, just gonna sew it as I normally would a shirt. So start with the darts. Sorry, this is like super, you know what? Maybe I should, I was gonna say, maybe I should move my little thingy that's got my phone on it, because anytime I move at all, my phone is gonna be like, okay, bear with me. I'm gonna do it because otherwise it's gonna be really annoying the whole time. So just do. You're gonna just sit right there for a second. Oh, sorry. Hold on. And also let me know if my sound's okay, because I am actually using my AirPods, and I want to make sure that you can hear me. So let me know if that's okay. And let's see, where can I? Whoa. Oh gosh, this is going swimmingly. Still working out the kinks with live streaming, obviously. All right, hold on. I never claimed to be a professional. All right, I'm not at streaming anyway. Let's see here. See, this is kind of what goes into the behind the scenes of my videos that you guys don't always see. I'm like very clumsy, and not especially polished, but I like to think that's part of my charm. All right, hold on. Almost ready. Okay, come on. Of course, my phone is plugged in and the charger barely reaches. Okay. That will be much better. Thank you for being patient. Oh, that's kind of weird. You can see me in the mirror back there too. Okay. So I am going to start with the darts, and I do conveniently have my ironing board also right here. I moved it in from the other room so that I didn't have to get up and let's make sure this is actually on. It's on. So I didn't have to get up and leave, and so I only have one camera, and come back when I need to press something, because if you are into sewing, then you know that sewing is like half pressing, maybe even more than half. So I've got this really nice cotton shirting I got from Mood, and I'm going to use this as the mock-up fabric. It's this really kind of almost bordering on shiny cotton shirting, like I said. And I was going to make a white button-up shirt with it at some point, and I figured, you know what? Now is my opportunity to use this, so that's what I'm doing. And let's see here. I am going to just give this a quick press really fast. And if you can hear me, and if I sound okay, then let me know. I really need a new ironing board cover. This thing is just, ugh. It's so gross and stained, and it's got makeup on it, and I really need something that's got more like padding too. So if anybody has a good one that they can recommend, let me know. Otherwise, I'm just probably gonna get one on Amazon. Okay, so when I traced this, sound is great. Hi, Kathy. Thanks for letting me know. Okay, so when I was tracing this pattern, I saw that there was some sleeve or shoulder darts here. I guess sleeve darts would be accurate. Can you see those? There's like 3 of them right at the elbow. And I just thought that was very interesting. And I was kind of thinking about it. And the elbow and sleeve shaping was definitely more common from what I can gather. First time watching sounds good. Awesome. Thanks, Judy. Yeah, so they used to be a lot more concerned seemingly with like the shape of the sleeve, especially right here, which I thought was very interesting. I'm trying to think. I think it was a vintage pattern drafting book or draping book. I can't remember which one. But they talked about, sleeve shaping, and I realized, it's not really something you see a lot these days. And I guess it's just a style thing. I'm not really sure. I mean, it takes more time to put that part in, but hello from Montana. Hello from Florida. I have never been to Montana, but I would love to go someday. I've been to a lot of states, but I also haven't been to a lot of states. Okay, all right, so I've got my front pieces. I mean, they're not like ironed to perfection, but they're close enough for me for now. So I am going to just do the darts, and you know what? I forgot I needed to load a bobbin. Do I have any white bobbins? I don't. Great. Wah, wah. Okay. Actually, oh no, I've got some more white thread here. Sometimes, does anyone else ever find that like, you're like, oh yeah, I definitely have black or white thread or gray or whatever it is. And then, you get home. I mean, I haven't really been shopping a whole lot this past year, but you get home and you're like, crap. Or you order something online and then you're like, oh, I guess I don't need to get that like staple thing. I've got that. And then you're just like, because you don't actually have the thing, because you just always assume you have it. That's me with like black, white, and gray thread. Very annoying. That's okay. All right, so I've got to wind. I'm just gonna wind. I'll wind 2 bobbins because I know I'll use white thread again. And I don't really feel like having to wind another one if I run out of the first one, which I think I might. So I'm actually doing, the mock-up I'm doing right now is a long sleeve, well, like 3/4 length sleeves, but my final pattern, or my final version that I'm going to be sewing is actually going to be the short sleeve version. So it's not going to be exactly the same fit, but it will be very, very close. And I think it will be close enough for me to tell. Oh my goodness. I have like at least 2 other projects that I have started on and have not finished. And you know what? I need a tissue because, like I said, chronic allergies always. The story of my life. Actually, I've got 3 projects. 3 projects because this beautiful pinstripe skirt, I never hemmed it. Whoops. So I actually have 3 projects that I need to finish. And I have so many others in my head. I don't know. I don't really like having too many going at the same time. But I started the first two like last year, actually, the very end of the year, because I was like, oh, I think I can possibly finish two more before 2021. Ha ha. That was a fool's errand. But they're turning out pretty well. Actually, one of them's a silk shirt, which I don't know when the heck I'm gonna wear that, but whatever. And then the other one is a houndstooth jacket, which really was giving me trouble, but I think I've figured it out. I was kind of stuck on like whether or not to interface it or underline it, because the linen that I've been using, it's the same linen that I used to make my wide leg 1940s trousers that you might have seen on my Instagram. I haven't posted about it. Actually, those were in my 2020 wrap-up video. Love those trousers so much, but for a jacket, jackets you tend to think of being more structured, right? So I was kind of like, I don't know if this is gonna have enough structure, with this houndstooth, very drapey linen houndstooth. So anyway, blah blah blah. I am at a decent place with that. I did end up deciding to underline it. Whoops, what am I doing? I don't know. And so I hope I can finish that soon. I was trying to finish it before we lost all of the nicer, cooler weather here. That didn't happen. Wah wah. I mean, it's actually, the last few days have been cooler. Summer's attempting to pop out. But I don't know. I mean, if I finish it now, I finish it soon, then I know I'll be able to wear it as much as humanly possible in the fall / winter next year or later this year. So I'm gonna try to finish it. And I also really don't like having a lot of unfinished projects going. It makes me feel anxious, and then it like I get this kind of like block. It's weird. It's like a guilt thing, I think. All right. Got my two bobbins. Excellent. What is everyone working on if you're working on something? I know a lot of people like to kind of sew at the same time while they watch people on YouTube. So if your hands are not free, then I get it. But I would love to know what you're working on if you're working on something. Let's see here. So I'm going to be working on this shirt. And then I also need to work on the shorts, which are also going to require fitting. But I really wanted to get this mock-up done so that I could wear it, because I desperately need more shirts to wear. Lyric says, I'm crocheting on a purse. Ooh, crocheting on a purse. Crocheting on an existing purse. I do love crochet. I have another unfinished crochet project. I don't know when the heck I'm ever going to finish it, but it's this 1950s, really pretty crocheted top, like very, very thin, like the crochet thread. I should probably try to finish that. I do have a lot of works in progress. UFOs. Actually, my friend Ruth Marie and I were talking about doing like a UFO blaster challenge later this year. So stay tuned for that. Oh, another crocheter. Crocheting a peach-colored baby blanket and sewing a sleeveless pullover top. Multitasking. Okay, lyric, crocheting a round-shaped purse with raffia yarn. That's awesome. That will be very good for summer, I feel like. I should do some more crochet accessories. I think crochet is better for accessories. I I prefer crochet to knitting, but I like the look of knitting on a lot of things, like for garments. Okay, so I am going to start the sleeve darts. I have been kind of having the knitting itch though lately. I don't know why. I want to get knitting again, but I refuse to start a new project. I already have too many unfinished projects, so I'm definitely going to finish one that I already started, and I think it's gonna be the green sylphide jacket. I think it was called sylphide, from Fable Knitwear. I love her knit patterns. And I know you're not supposed to backstitch at darts, but I am gonna do it for the elbow darts because I'm a rebel. I don't care. I will do the proper dart finishing when I do the actual bodice darts. But I figure for the elbows we're okay. Right. Oh, you know what? I said this last time. I should probably post that I'm live in my Facebook group, huh? Okay. 1, 2, 3. And you know what? I'm pretty sure. Let's see here. The backs of the sleeves don't have the 3 darts. I'm like 99% sure, which is kind of interesting because it creates more shaping if it's just in the front. All right. Let's see, what pattern is this? You know what? All right, I'm gonna go grab it. I will be right back. This is Simplicity 4310, I think. Let's see. It's vintage. Yeah, 4310. So I got this, I'm pretty sure on eBay. It might have been Etsy. Super cute little like beachy beachwear kind of thing. Excuse me, I'm losing my voice. Someone did find a digital like reprint version of this that I linked to in one of the other videos, one of my other lives, and I will link that one to this too. And you can get that. I think it was on Etsy. So it's funny because I don't think there's any like Simplicity branding or whatever on it, but it's the same one of these. So if you do want to follow along, then you do have options if you can't find the vintage one. But anyway, so I'm going to be making, the red one is going to be my mock-up right here. And then if you could please, because on Etsy it's 40 pounds for the pattern. Is for the vintage pattern? Yeah, I don't think the reprint is that expensive. I don't know how much it is. I can't remember, but I'm sure it's not that much. But yeah, so I'm gonna be doing, oh, you know what? Let's go grab my fabric too because I want to show that it's so cute. Fabric is actually from Minerva.com, and I get that in exchange for a post about a project. And so I am doing this little mini vacation capsule. This is the fabric. It's a cotton rayon blend. It has a really nice drape. And it is just, oh, gorgeous. I've had this, you know, I've had my eye on this for a while. And I was saving some fabric. I have like a Pinterest board just for fabrics that I'm like either just really inspired by or I actually really, really want to buy. That's kind of in the past I've used it, and then that will hopefully kind of satisfy that urge, like even though I'm not actually buying it. Anyway, and I laughed because the last thing I had pinned on it was this fabric from like, I don't know, a year, probably at least a year ago. And now I finally got my paws on some. It's super cute. But anyway, they've got a whole bunch of different colorways. I think like 4 different ones, 4 or 5. And it's gorgeous. And you know what's interesting though is like when it first arrived, I feel like it was more bright green, and I did wash it. Like it does look different on camera than it does in person. But since I washed it, it looks a bit more accurate. But when I first got it, I was like, whoa, this is more green than I was expecting actually. So anyway, so I'm going to be making this little tie shirt with that green fabric. Super cute. And some of the shorts too. And also hopefully the little bra top there. I'm not going to be making that skirt, which is really just a circle skirt. I am planning on doing a skirt. You know what? Actually, let me show you this other fabric too while I'm at it. So I was thinking about making, oh, come on. It's wedged in my big old fabric, whatever, bookcase thing. Okay. I was thinking about actually sewing a skirt that I had planned on sewing for my capsule, my main capsule, and kind of using it in this mini vacation capsule as well, which is, I don't even remember, Sewaholic. I don't remember the pattern name, but that skirt is in my capsule video. So this is a linen cotton blend, I believe. Kaufman, I'm pretty sure. And actually, this is also Kaufman. So I think, actually, I kind of have a lot of this fabric, this pink fabric. I feel like these actually work well together. I don't know how accurate the colors are on the phone. Tropical prints so much, and it's just, ugh. I mean, I live in Florida, so it's like the closest thing I can get to Hawaii in the US, I guess, besides maybe California, but like the just obsessed. So I think this is going to be a really good set. So I'm going to do some of this stuff, and then I'm going to do the green, the pink skirt. And you know what? Actually, I just remembered too, I had planned on doing a bolero out of this. That was part of my capsule as well. So I think I will probably end up doing that as well. You think those colors look great together? Well, thank you. Yeah, it's kind of like a muted. So the fabric doesn't have this exact pink in there, but that's okay because it's in the same palette. You know, it's kind of a muted, sort of earthy tone. not really earth tone, but it's got kind of a natural sort of color palette with sort of these kind of reddish clay. I always think of this as like a clay color. And then the kind of sandy colors too. So yeah, I'm really, really excited. I hope that this whole mini capsule is out. I think it will. So those are those. And then I've also got my little mock-up, which also will, I think, possibly fit in the capsule. The only problem is the white of the shirt, and this is like a bit, it's a bit off. And I do have some off-white fabric, but nothing I really wanted to sacrifice for like a mock-up. So this might just end up being part of like my, it might end up being part of my main capsule now that I think about it, because I do need more like white shirts. I've decided that white shirts for me are like crack. Just kidding. I wear white shirts a lot, and I don't have a lot of white shirts, so I have to wait till they're clean, which is annoying. So the more white, simple button downs I have, the better. Anyway, all right. I am going to sew the last of these 3 elbow darts. And you know what? I should probably do another little mini capsule video for this project, actually kind of aside from my main project video. So I'm doing lives, obviously. White shirts are such a staple. I agree. They just go with pretty much everything, and they can look really clean and crisp and just put together. And also they can be relaxed too, because I'm not, I love the vintage look and vintage glam and stuff, but I'm also not like super fussy, most of the time. And for me, like a nice white shirt is put together, but not too fussy. They make jeans look dressy, yes. And that's another project that I have on my to-do list, is attempting some jeans. And, not gonna lie, I don't really get intimidated by a lot of projects, but jeans is one that I'm intimidated by, because I've never sewn jeans before. And I don't really know what about them. I think it's more the fit than anything else that I'm intimidated by. I still haven't really perfected a pants fit yet, or fit, whatever. And I need to do that before I even touch any denim. But I don't know. If anybody has any good jeans suggestions or tips, or I know there's stuff online out there, but if anybody has any personal advice for me, I am all for it. Listening to it, that is. So yeah, let me know. I do have some of that Cone Mills denim that's, I guess they stopped producing it in the US, and I got like some of the last of it when Closet Core was having their like, it's going out of business, or it's closing, the mill's closing. They had this sale, and I bought a kit. And I'm thinking the kit came with a pattern, and one of their jeans patterns, and I can't remember if it was the Morgan jeans or the Ginger jeans. I think those are their 2 jeans. But to be honest with you, I kind of want to get the Dawn jeans. You can actually get Cone Mills from Blackbird Fabrics. Yes, I know they still make Cone Mills, but I think it's produced in, I want to say, Japan and maybe Mexico. Don't quote me on it. But they closed their actual US mill or the one, I think it was the only one that was left in the US. Don't quote me on that either. Do you have advice for a new sewer? I'm just starting out and I'm so intimidated, but I've been wearing vintage and repro for so long. I wish that little comment stayed up longer there. Okay, I know the pattern isn't. Oh my gosh, I missed so many people's comments. Sorry. Okay, hold on. It would be amazing if you could create a great fit for a pair of jeans. That's the ultimate dream. I know, seriously. White shirt, red lipstick goes with anything. Agree. Except, as much as I love a good red lip, I think a pinky nude lip like this is more my style, my speed. Red can be, I mean, it depends on the red, obviously, but I think for me, it kind of gives me the same like fussy feeling. Like I love it, but it's like I have to be in the mood for a red lip. Okay, let's see. What else? What else? Sarah says, I know the pattern isn't a vintage style, but the closet core ginger jeans are great. Yes. And then you can get the cone mills from Blackbird. Yeah, so I was saying I kind of want to get the Dawn jeans from Megan Nielsen, the Australian pattern maker. I really like the way those look, and to me, those are pretty, or they could be kind of vintage, but but I do already own. I think it might be right down here actually. Where is it? Let's see. Unless I moved it. The denim's right down here, I know for sure. Whatever. I think it's over there. Anyway, I don't remember which one I actually own. I mean, it would be great to not have to buy any other patterns, but I might go with my gut and try the Dawn jeans. All right, so Sophie, back to the advice. Do I have any advice for a new sewer? Let's see, been wearing vintage and repro for so long. It seemed inevitable, but I'm very intimidated. Okay. So I guess the first advice I would have would be to get comfortable with your sewing machine, if you have a sewing machine already, and just, get familiar with how it works. And just start practicing like stitching. There's so much out there with, sewing content and so many different techniques and so many different fabrics and patterns, and it's a lot. It's a ton. And definitely can be intimidating. But I guess what I would do is start with, I would probably start with a circle skirt, actually. That would be a good first project. And you can, buy a pattern for that, or you can draft your own. And there's circle skirt calculators out there online, but it might just be easier to just buy one pattern, that is. And that way, you can start to learn how to follow the pattern without worrying too much about fit. So like if you do a circle skirt, you really only have to fit the waist. And that's a very nice, vintage wardrobe staple as well. So that'd be a good one to start with. Let's see what else. I wouldn't be too afraid to just kind of jump into stuff, but at the same time, it really depends on you and what kind of maker you are. Like for me, I guess ignorance was bliss in a way, because when I first started sewing, I had no idea what was hard or not. I just kind of like went for it and tried to Google if I didn't know what the heck I was doing. which, that's one way to do it. I would say don't be too scared, just get some cheap fabric. Get some cheap fabric with the intention of just like practicing. But then once you feel comfortable with, putting it through your machine, don't get like the cheapest of the cheap either. Just get something like get some shirting cotton. Did I have any disasters in my early projects? Oh, I definitely had stuff that like didn't go well. I wouldn't I wouldn't say I had any like major disasters, but I totally had projects that didn't fit. Or do you look at things you made then and wouldn't wear them now because of the quality? Yeah, yeah, for sure. I mean, the quality, well, okay, so for example, I made these pants. Oops, I don't know why that's not buttoned. I made these, gosh, back in, was it 2018? Ella, hello. Yes, I made these pants like 2 years ago, or maybe it was 2017. I don't even know. It was a while ago. But anyway, I made them, and actually the quality is pretty good, not gonna lie. They don't really fit me well, especially now, but I still wear them all the time. So as long as your seams are good, your seams have integrity and they're not like ripping and breaking and stuff, like just know that you're gonna improve as you go, and like that's good, that's part of the process, and then you'll get to a point where you kind of get to like a stable level where you've kind of mastered the basics and whatnot, and then from there you can kind of try to do harder and harder projects, or you can kind of just do a few basic projects and then like jump into something that's like pretty challenging and just take it step by step, you know. Ella said, "Hi, Liz. It's so true. You don't have to start with a garment. A pillowcase or an apron is a great beginning." Yeah, an apron would be good. Um, I know some people, it's interesting how everybody feels about like beginner projects, because I know some people are like, "Oh my gosh, I don't want to start with the garment. It's too scary." And then other people are like, "Ugh, I don't want to start with the pillowcase. It's too boring." So I think just knowing, what kind of maker you are and what you're going to be more comfortable with. Like if a garment is too scary, then yeah, start with the pillowcase or an apron. I love the apron suggestion, Ella, um, because again, that's something that really isn't very fitted at all, and you can still use it, and it can still be really cute. And I think the most important stuff in the beginning is to just learn how your machine works and start to get an idea of patterns. That's a huge part of is choosing the right fabric to begin with, because if you sew something so beautiful and it's really not the right fabric for the project, it's never gonna be as good as if you used like the proper type of fabric. And it doesn't have to be expensive. It's really more about like the drape and the weight of whatever it is that you're sewing. Okay. And personally, I much prefer sewing with natural fibers for the most part, or at least somewhat natural. Something like a rayon is a it's a semi-synthetic fiber. It's made from natural fibers, but it's like a chemical process to create rayon. I really like blends a lot. So like linen cotton blends, linen rayon, linen cotton, because I find that fabrics that are just one type of fiber tend to, well, it's like a more extreme version of, or it's the most pure version of that fiber with all of its good and bad qualities, or, more or less positive qualities. So, like, for example, rayon, it has such a nice drape, but depending on like what kind of weave it is, it can be an absolute to sew with because it is so shifty. Like when you're trying to cut it out, I would not recommend rayon as a first sewing project fabric. Hey, Stephanie. We're just chatting about, beginner sewing projects and kind of like, how do you know what to choose and like what kinds of fabrics to use and patterns and all that kind of stuff. I think as long as you have an open mind and you're not too harsh with yourself, then you really can't lose. You know, just know that whatever it is that you're working on, your skills are going to continue to improve as you sew, as they should. With anything really, if you're mindful about what you're working on, then you're just gonna get better naturally, because that's just what happens when you practice. So don't put too much pressure on yourself. That's my best advice. um, Basically, don't be me and go to the hardest project first. Well, actually, I'm trying to remember. I'm trying to think if it's in my closet, but one of my first projects was, well, I sewed a dress for my high school graduation, and that one, it wasn't. I mean, it was hard for a beginner, but it wasn't that hard. And I also had a teacher, helping me kind of with, what the heck to do. Because this was back in 2009, and the internet was definitely not as there wasn't as much information as there is these days. And but I had hands-on help, which was very helpful for me. But I was both myself. My teacher didn't sew that for me. But yeah, so I chose to do that, and it had a zipper and it had a lining, and I want to say it was an invisible zipper. Actually, I take that back. It had I think the bust had a lining, but the whole dress didn't have a lining. But I sewed it, and it actually fit me really well. And it wasn't the most clean of finishes and things, but I mean, it was good enough for me, and I was so proud of that dress. And I still have it in my closet. And one of these days, I'm gonna kind of talk about, how I got sewing, and I'll show that. And anyway, so let's see. So after that one, I didn't really sew a whole lot. I sewed a couple of like costumes for friends, but even those were just their costumes. They weren't, you know, incredible quality or anything. I did use a pattern for one of them. I made my friend a Jasmine costume, and you know what? So I didn't make her pay me. I just said, okay, you just buy the materials. Like we went to Joann's together, and she's like, I want to be Jasmine, and I was like, okay. We found this perfect pattern, and I sewed the thing, and it was really up to the last minute that I was working on this, of course. And it was like Halloween, or like right around Halloween. Anyway, the day we were supposed to go out and wear these things, we went to a club, which I'm really not into clubs, but whatever. And I had to convince her to wear this freaking costume that I had spent hours on. And because she, like, bless her heart, she had just started her period that day. She's feeling, bloated and like unconfident, but I mean, she looked fine. I know that feeling, but she looked completely fine. And Serena, hello. But yeah, she was like, "I don't know if I want to wear this," and I was like, "You look great. You're gonna be great." I was just like, "You better freaking not wear this costume right now," in my head. Um, that would have been really I would have been so upset if she didn't wear it after all that. But she did wear it and she did have a good time and she felt good in it. So I was like, phew. Um, let's see what else. Yeah, I don't really sew for people much anymore. Like maybe my husband. Actually, that reminds me. I still need to sew. I need to sew some stuff for my nephew. He's so cute, little baby nephew. Um, but I really don't sew for people because most people don't really appreciate it. And it's not that they don't, I mean, appreciate in the sense of like they have no concept of the amount of time it took the thing and the amount of time it took to develop those skills to make a thing. So it's like, you know, it's like when they say, you're not paying the plumber just for, unclogging your sink or whatever it is. Like you're paying for all that knowledge that they know how to do the thing and they have all the equipment. It's like that, you know. Like most people just have no comprehension of the amount of time it takes to learn. So, um, it's like that account, can you sew this for me? I've been a very early follower of that account. And I mean, when people, you know, if sewing's not your thing, you're not gonna know how much you're not gonna know what it takes because it's not your thing. And just like any subject, I think the attitude of it is what's most important. I think sometimes people can be a little harsh on people that they don't have any ill will and they don't know. They're just ignorant, they don't know what they don't know. And I think sometimes that can be a little there can be kind of like elitist kind of attitude. Like I get it, it's annoying, especially when you've had so many people expect things from you or just completely devalue your skills and your time. But I don't think it's necessarily helpful to assume that everyone is just trying to be a jerk. And I think it can be easy to kind of get in that mindset. So, anyway, that's my soapbox. Let's see, what else? What else? That's a problem with trades and crafts. I know. It really is. It sucks because, stuff has been so devalued, like craftsmanship and the knowledge to make these things, and also just with things being so automated with machines and stuff, people don't understand the handmade skill anymore. And someone suggests you make your sewing hobby into your side hustle. They don't understand how much items would actually cost if you charged accordingly. Exactly. I was just talking with this guy a couple of months ago, at the brewery where my husband works. I was getting dinner and this guy was sitting, a few seats down from me at the bar and I had mentioned, I don't know, we were all talking about just stuff we do and I mentioned like I had made my outfit or something and he was like, "Oh, wow, that's awesome. You should you should do that and sell your stuff." And I was like, "No, I have no interest in that." And he was like really pushing it. And I was just like, "Bro, I don't want to sew for you." Like, no, like stop. He just would not like I know he was just so, blown away by my skill, the fact that I wouldn't want to sell this, like I think he was coming at it from a good place, but it was still just like so pushy. Dude, I said I had no interest in it. What is that like? Hello. Stop. Um Sophie said, I agree. People see clothes just as stretchy bits of fabric you wear twice with no structure. They don't appreciate the effort. I mean, that's the other thing too, is like to get something really to fit well, like really well, that takes time. We all know that. Serena, I usually never tell people I make my clothes. I hate that combo. Yeah, I've gotten to the point actually I feel pretty comfortable saying no, which is good. I've gotten kind of like desensitized when people are like, "Oh my God, can you make me a thing?" I'll say like, "Oh, that's so nice of you to say that you like my stuff." But I don't really sew for people. And they usually are like, "Oh, okay." Like sometimes they'll give me the puppy dog eyes that I'm just like, you know. Like, I always say, "Oh, you should learn to sew." And they're like, "Oh, no." And it's like, "Well, there you go," you know? I don't know. I do love telling people that I've made my stuff, but yeah. I mean, that does happen. "Oh, can you make me one?" "No." "Oh, I'll pay you." "No, I don't really sew for the people." That's just usually what I say, and then that's it. But yeah, it can be annoying at times. But I think it comes from a good place. It's just I do wish more people knew how to sew in general. Um, it's just such a great skill to have. I know it takes a lot of time. It can take a lot of time, depending on how, invested you are. It takes a lot of time up front to get to the point where it doesn't take a ton of time, if that makes sense. Because I know for sure for me, I'm a lot faster than I used to be, and I kind of always thought like, oh, I'm just gonna be slow. Like that's just how I am with these projects. And I still take my time for sure. Like I'm not as fast as a lot of people, but I'm a lot faster than I used to be, and I think that's just because I just have a much better understanding of like the general steps I'm going to be taking. You know, when you sew a shirt or something, you always start with the darts, unless it's a completely, special circumstance. Well, stay stitching. But other than that, you always start with the darts. You got to know when to press and like which direction to press, and it takes a lot of time and practice to where that's kind of more almost second nature. So, but it's worth the investment because then once it is all second nature, then you can make some pretty complex things and not too much time. And you also, I know people say, well, sewing doesn't save any money. It's much cheaper to buy garments. And like that's true depending on what kind of garments you're talking about. Could I go out and buy a kind of dress that fits me exactly in the fabric I want, in the color I want? No, like it would cost a lot. um, if I could even find it, I'd probably have to get something tailored. I think most people would if they wanted something really fitted and, very specific. So it's like, yeah, if we're just talking about t-shirts, you could probably almost certainly buy one cheaper than sew one yourself. But it really just depends on what it is that you're wanting. Okay, let's see. So Sarah says, I think sewing in the last decade has had a bit of a renaissance. I think so too, especially now after 2020. Like, I mean, I think there's going to be a lot of sewing machines for sale, honestly, which is probably good for us. I mean, I'm not in the market for one, but I know other people probably will be. And let's see, hold on. I agree. Knowing how to sew would mean more demand for fabric stores. I need more options. Yes, right? And you know what? Actually, so Mood Fabrics was supposed to be opening a location in Miami, and Ruth Marie and I were going to go on a pilgrimage. And then the pandemic happened, and I don't even know if they're still opening that at some point. If I hope they do, but if they do, we're definitely gonna go. And actually, I think it doesn't Atlanta have some good fabric stores? Because I really want to go there at some point again. Let's see here. Sophie, I'm just a beginner, but I feel like when I can make my own clothes, so far it's just A-line skirts, it's good for the planet. People should learn to make their clothes or at least repair them. Yes, absolutely. Repairing is, I mean, I think that that's even bigger than making your own clothes, because I've definitely seen people kind of like rush their sewing almost to the point where it's like, whoa, like that's way more clothes than I would even buy, let alone make. Um, and you kind of have to ask yourself, like, do I really need this stuff? Like, I don't think we have to be so puritanical with our making, but I think that if you're just sewing stuff like all the time, willy-nilly, not really taking time to like choose the proper fabric and like, you know, being like, "Oh, I'll just do this thing. Like it'll be fine. It'll work out." Like, and then you make the thing and like it doesn't really fit and then you just end up throwing it away or trying to donate it or something. Like that's wasteful, you know? So if you can take time and really have a good result, um, that's there. Like about slowing down in your sewing. I watched part of it, I think. I don't remember if I finished it or not, but I should definitely watch it. Batch sewing is my jam. You know, that's something I want to do more of at some point because that is very efficient. Because you can cut everything out at once. You can just, if you just trace one pattern, then you don't have to worry about like tracing a whole bunch of patterns and you can cut all your stuff out at once. And especially for those of us with small spaces to work in, like I'm lucky I have a room to work in, I know. But actual like real estate like surfaces, I'm very limited. um so batch sewing is definitely a way to go, and I really haven't done a whole heck of a lot of that, but especially with like a capsule, it's a really good point, because if you do the same pattern and just do a couple of different ones, versions of that, then that can save you a lot of time, like prep time especially. And you could kind of do like, so all the darts in both of them, and then so all the side seams in both of them, or however many of them. And then that way, it's like an assembly line. And that way, like, okay, there's no guessing. Like, you don't have to do the whole thing one after the other. You can kind of just do like each step at the same time. I need to think more about doing that. Okay, let's see. So Sophie said, I also think learning how more clothes are made and structured has made me feel much better about my body. Yes, I went through, a phase. I had gained like 30 pounds when I graduated from college. And actually I have a series of videos coming out eventually about like sewing and like weight and just feeling a certain way about it, and being empowered to feel however you want to feel, because I think a lot of people, it comes from a good place, but a lot of the times there's messaging out there that ends up kind of making you feel bad for feeling a certain way, and I don't think that that's really necessarily helpful. Um, and I'm being very careful about the way I speak about this, because I feel very strongly myself about this topic. But I think as long as people are coming from a place of compassion and not judgment with themselves too, then I think we should be free to kind of speak about how we feel about our bodies, to an extent. Like, I don't think that we need to put every also online. Um, but the reason why I want to talk about this is because I didn't really see a lot of the kind of messaging that would have helped me out there, and if my story, if you will, could help someone, then I think that that'd be great. Um, so anyway, but yeah, and I gained like 30 pounds and like also, was maturing more from that. Like I was still a little bit more in like the teenage kind of body, and then graduated, put on some weight, and also kind of continued developing. And I'm very curvy, and I could not find clothes in the store that fit me. I could find clothes that fit me, but not, like they would fit on me, but they didn't fit me. They didn't fit my curves. And that was, ugh, my self esteem was just, I felt so blobby. And then, and then I realized eventually, when I started sewing more, I was like, oh my gosh, I can make this stuff fit me. And it looks so much better. It looks so much better than just going to the store and buying something that's like supposed to fit the masses. And also just fashion these days is not very fitted, probably because it's easier to sell more stuff to people if it's not super fitted. Anyway, let's see here. Serena, I think it's cheaper to sew. Vintage clothes can be expensive, and dresses I want my daughter to wear would cost too much. Exactly. Again, it's all about what it is for. So I think when people are like, well, it costs so much money to sew, you really like, well, yeah, like it depends on your goals. And that was a big part of why I wanted to get like really into sewing. Hi, Robin. I really wanted to get into sewing because I really wanted a vintage wardrobe, and I was like, I don't really want to be limited to what I can find that fits me. Um, and also vintage clothing, well, it's especially 40s and 50s stuff, it's more rare because there's just not as much of it these days because time has passed, and that's what happens. And clothes are physical, they exist in the physical realm and they break down. And I wanted to be able to sew stuff that was like my taste and fit exactly to me or as close as I could get. A way to get what I wanted, which was to dress vintage all the time or as much as I could. Phila says unfitted clothes great on my body type, no matter my weight. Me too. I mean, they can look okay on me. It's like I'm not, I don't put on something unfitted and I'm like, oh, I look terrible. It's just kind of like, it just doesn't like really do anything for me. Um, which I can't remember if we've talked about this, Ella, but we might have the Kibbe body types. I don't know if anybody's heard about that. Um, I have some stuff. Well, I had some stuff planned. I mean, my whole content is like out the window at this point. But I had some stuff planned revolving around the Kibbe body types. Well, yeah, any sort of like categorize whatever categorizing system. You know what I'm trying to say. Categorizing system. You have to take with a grain of salt, I think, because of course there's going to be exceptions. What type am I? I think I'm theatrical romantic, but I've kind of like waffled a bit between that and like soft natural, but I'm not 100% sure. Um, but I think the theatrical romantic seems to make sense, but I don't know. I'm not really 100%. And again, it's sort of like it's helpful, but no one is like the perfect example of the body type. I always kind of relate it to like, how people say, "Oh, I'm a summer. Oh, I'm a spring." And it's like your coloring kind of thing. It's a way to sort of categorize your body in the hopes that that knowledge will help you make choices that kind of work more with your the types of angles and shapes that make up your body. That was so convoluted. It's just a system to help you find more flattering clothing, essentially. Um, and actually, Ali Art on YouTube has really some very interesting and good, I think, videos about that. And something that I really love about her videos is how much she emphasizes kind of the different kind of types because they're all different and they're all so beautiful and in their own way. And one is not better than the other. They're just different. And just trying to think of a specific thing. Like if you go and look in the comments on any of her videos, you'll see so many people saying, "Oh my gosh, I always hated my nose, but now I feel like it looks, it works with my face and like it makes sense." And she had one video about plastic surgery, or it was about fillers actually, like lip fillers, I think, or fillers in general. And it was like, would fillers look good on me? And she talked about like the balance of your face. And a lot of times people don't take into consideration the balance of your features and how if you emphasize one thing more than the others, then it throws off that balance. And then it's like this weird kind of like the person, like you can't really, it's like they just don't look right. I'm really not a fan of fillers personally. Um, I don't know that I would ever get fillers. I might get some Botox possibly. But I don't think I'd ever get fillers. I would be very worried that I would like throw off the balance, of my face. If it's balanced, I think it is, but I don't know. I think it's kind of sad to me when people do so much, so much in terms of like fillers and tweaks and this and that. And, you know, like I get it, if it makes you more comfortable, um, like it's your body, you can do whatever you want. But I think learning to embrace the differences is really nice. And, a lot of people, you really lose your individuality and kind of, I don't know, it's kind of sad, but that's just how I feel about it. Um, let's see. Sophie said the thing I like about vintage, which is slightly controversial, but that it was very much about creating the illusion of a silhouette in your body type per se. Right. It's not about changing your body, it's about creating a beautifully structured outfit. I feel like it took the pressure off me and meant I could look how I wanted. Yes. Yes, I think so too. And you know what? Actually, I read or not read, I watched this video from oh gosh, what's her name? The chick who did, or she did American Duchess, Cox, Abby Cox, something like that. Um, Stephanie, if you're still here, I know you know. I can't remember her name, but she had a video about how, people think of the garments from like, the 18th century, like 1700s, as being very restrictive. Abby Cox, yes, thank you. Um, Very restrictive and like, you're like corseted and you got all this fabric and it's just like, oh my gosh, how barbaric like to wear this stuff. Oh. But she was talking about how liberating it was that they had all of this stuff they could put on to create whatever shape they wanted, that, that was in vogue. And they had like bum rolls, and the fake the fake hips and booties, and the corsets, um and just the all the layers, and they were she also mentioned, how much better they were at dressing for weather. And it was such an interesting argument. Like, I had never really thought of it like that. And I wasn't really in the camp of like, oh my gosh, corsets, so barbaric, so restrictive. Like, I know that when you have one that fits, that's not, you know, repressive necessarily. And actually, I am someone who kind of likes, I don't mind feeling some, support actually from like a belt or something. And I feel like I probably wouldn't mind a corset either if it was fit well. That's the other thing, is corsets, I think probably a lot of people that are so against them, if they've ever worn one, has not been made to fit them. And they're probably like just thinking about how uncomfortable it is. And I think if you have one made for you, in theory, it would be much more comfortable because it would be created to fit you exactly. Um, but the thing about, the shaping was that she said, your body is almost, it's hidden under all of these layers and all of this padding. Your actual body shape is. And nowadays there's so few pieces of clothing. I mean, I see people in cute but very revealing clothes, and it's like, if you don't have that body type, like, sorry, you're kind of screwed unless you do surgery, I guess, or Photoshop your pictures, which that's a whole other topic. But yeah, I don't know. That there's definitely something intriguing about all of that. And I think with vintage clothing, it's not the same as that historical level, but it's closer, I think. And a lot of people, I know what you mean when you say it's controversial. Like, a lot of people kind of have this feeling of like, well, flattering, ugh. But I always looked at flattering as more, it's not saying that, oh, you're so deformed and we must hide that deformity. To me, it's more, your body is how it is, and like, what is the best thing we can put on it for you? How are you going to look your best? I mean, that's always what flattering was to me. So obviously people can have different interpretations, but I know what you mean. Yeah, I'm with you. So I'm gonna iron this, press this stuff. I'm gonna press my darts. And let's see here. I think you should love your body, but also, like, it's what makes you feel confident. Also, like, it's what makes you feel confident. Right. I mean, and the other thing is like loving your body, I feel like now I love my body, but it took me a long time to get to the point where I I mean, and the other thing, I never really hated my body. Like, I know some people really have, major problems with like hating their body, or certain, right, exactly. Exactly, Ella. Um, I know some people really have, dysmorphia about things. Um, but just getting to a place of more like neutrality kind of about your body, or just like acceptance in the sense of like, oh, this is how it is. This is what it is. Like, I don't, sometimes I think that, the self-love thing, like, I think it's great. It comes from a great place. Like, I get it. But I think it puts a lot of pressure on us, because then you're like, well, if I don't love my body, I can't talk about it because then it's, fat phobic and it just puts people in this place of like, I don't know, it just doesn't seem fair to me to like expect everyone to love their body. And I'm not saying that you're saying that. I'm just saying kind of in general, it kind of seems like that. I think I have seen stuff that it seems like it's getting better, but I don't know. I don't really like telling people how to feel about their bodies, good or bad, I think that people should be free to feel how they feel. That's my spiel. I don't I don't really get it, to be honest. Yeah, I don't know. I think there's a certain amount of like I don't know how to say this. um I guess it's like objectivity kind of, you know, not not seeing everything with such like an emotionally tinged kind of view. I don't know. I know that's hard. It's hard. When you've had a lifetime of experiences, but I don't know. I've always been kind of in the middle with, like if anybody's taken those personality tests where it's like, are you a thinker or are you a feeler? I think when I was younger, I was more of a thinker, but as I've gotten older, I would say I'm more like in the middle. Um, I'm a feeler, but I I think that you can kind of run into trouble a little bit when you lose any and all objectivity and I don't know, like when you just assume everything's kind of negative or out to get you or like everything is a um some sort of way to judge you and yeah, a lot of it is, but I don't know. I think at the end of the day, what is most important is how you feel about yourself and your choices and how you express yourself and caring less about what other people's opinions are, um, which I know can be very, very hard to do. I myself have fallen into that trap, but it's such an interesting balance, right? Like when I was a teenager, I was very, and middle school, but more teenager, I was very like borderline hostile and like kind of antisocial to a lot of people. And I mean, I don't really say, maybe that's inaccurate. I mean, I wasn't like a total a-hole to people or anything, but I definitely was not afraid to speak my mind. And I wasn't really that popular. And like sometimes I was always honest, which I think is a good thing. But I think knowing um, knowing when something is appropriate or not can be very helpful. And it's interesting now, like the older I get, because I went through such a like sort of up and down like I just like blanked out just then. I've had sort of a roller coaster kind of experience when it comes to like people pleasing, I guess. and, playing nice in the sandbox. And I don't know. It's interesting to think about the older I get, like how I feel about certain things. Because like when I was a teenager, I was very like peer pressure, and I was very like had to stick up my butt about a lot of stuff, and I did judge people a lot. Um, but I also didn't give in to any peer pressure either. And I think that that's something to be proud of. But I don't think judging people is something to be proud of. And and then I kind of went through this phase where I learned, okay, you know, maybe I don't have to say everything I think every time I think it. And it's not to say I didn't have a filter, it's just sometimes I could be kind of blunt, I think. And it's like, there are ways to say the same thing without choosing the same words exactly. And making your opinion known without just completely having any without completely disregarding the other person's feelings, essentially. um you're so right. It's like one extreme or the other. You and I had very similar outlooks as teenagers. I was always honest, maybe a little too honest. It's so hard to navigate this space as a woman. I know, and like that's what I want to freaking help with if I can. There's so much pressure. Ugh. So much pressure one way or the other. It's like if people aren't pressuring you to feel bad, they're pressuring you to feel good, and either way, you're being pressured, which doesn't feel good. um, so screw that. know? And of course, now there's a lot more pressure too in terms of like just kind of I don't know. The stakes are higher these days with like falling in line and not even questioning a lot of things. And I don't know. I mean, you can tell I'm someone who likes to talk. And I think it's so great to have conversations with people that you don't necessarily agree with about things. Um, and I think that we need to have more of an open mind about a lot of things. Um, and I don't know why there's such like a tendency. Well, I no, I do know why. I think it's socialization. I think that I was just watching this video about I don't know if you guys have heard of the Ash experiment, I think it's called. Um, but it was done in the 70s, and I want to say I had heard about it in psychology class or something, but I just recently re-experienced this. And they were talking about how there was a study done, and it was a social, experiment, and they had a man come in, and they had a whole bunch of actors, and they put up some signs, like the scientists put up some signs, and they said, okay, we're testing your ability to tell which of the lines are the same size. And it was like, okay, so this line, and then you had A, B, and C, and they were different sizes. One of them was the correct answer. And and they asked the guy, okay, they went around the room and said, which one is the same size? And he said, he said B, which was the correct answer. And then, as the scientist is going around the room, they said A, A, A. And he's like, what's going on? And like he didn't say anything, but he's just like, well, actually, I think the first time he said like A is the correct answer or whatever it is. And everyone was just so adamant, but they were all actors and they were all in on it. And so then when they did the next one, he just went along with it, and no one like bullied him or anything. He wasn't like, you guys are crazy. This is, he just said what the group said, which is just so interesting. And, humans are social creatures and, we all want to feel part of the group, which I get. But sometimes, that is a bit unethical. Oh, you mean like the experiment itself? Which part of it? Um, I mean, I don't think it's unethical. Like if the power of the crowd. Yeah, yeah. I mean, the power of the crowd. I think it's just like I'm not trying to make a judgment on like, oh, people are just so like, weak, and because I understand where that feeling comes from. It's, you want to be part of your group. You want to be the part of the group that survives because in the caveman days or whatever, if you weren't part of the group, then you didn't thrive, you didn't do as well on your own, and then maybe you died. And so like I get it. It's kind of hardwired, the experiment. I don't know. I don't know that it was unethical necessarily. I mean, nothing bad happened. It was just kind of like a test, and I'm sure they explained to the guy afterwards. Um, and any kinds of tests like that, people have to sign up to do them. They don't know what it is necessarily, but of all the of all the social experiments I've ever seen or heard of, which admittedly isn't a lot because I'm not, a psychologist or sociologist or whatever. Um, Sociologist, whatever. You know what I mean. Uh, that's one of the more tame ones, but I think it's very interesting to just see how people react in that situation. Um, Social experiments in general are very interesting, and yes, of course, you have to be ethical, and some of them have not been, but the data is very interesting. Yeah, I wonder how much of that is, with our social media communities, like people just they feel like they have to kind of go with what everyone else is kind of saying. I don't know. It's interesting. Something to think about. I've always been really fascinated by psychology. Yeah, that one's actually pretty tame. Yeah. Um, what's that one? The prison experiment? You know which one I'm talking about? The one where Stanford prison experiment? I think maybe. Um, Now that one, ooh, you want to talk about some unethical Zimbardo. I am not familiar with that, I don't think. Stanford, yeah, Stanford prison experiment. Didn't they make a movie about that? I feel like they did, and I don't think I saw it, but I think they made a movie about it, and it was just like insane. Milgram was off the chain. Oh, was that the movie, or is that a different experiment? I gotta look this up. Oh, okay. Zimbardo conducted the Stanford experiment. Gotcha. Yeah, it's been a long time since I've learned any of the facts about that, but what a freaking wild ride. My God. I mean, that's definitely the most extreme one I can think of. If anybody else knows of any, I'm interested. Yeah, I think it's so interesting to I mean, and I also don't think that, just because someone does a study, I don't think that that necessarily means anything either. Or what, their findings are 100% fact or whatever. But it's just interesting to think about, I guess. Um, so if you I think Milgram did the one where they electrocuted someone in the other room. Yes, that one too. Ooh, oof. You know, you think that you're the kind of person that, like, you're like, "Pff, I would never do that," but I don't think you really know until you're in that position, and gosh, it's kinda scary. Um, like, and actually, the same video that I was watching that was talking about the line length one was also talking about this one in which they studied, um, this woman. I mean, I'm sure that they had multiple subjects, but they had this woman and they set up this room. It was like a waiting room, and all these people agree to be parts of these studies, at least in the modern era. I should say, with a caveat. I'm assuming that they do. I think, especially nowadays, you have to agree to be in studies. But anyway, let's just assume that all these people have agreed and are willing. Um, Hopefully, they are. Um, anyway, so they set up this waiting room kind of simulation, and at one point they piped in like some smoke, and they like the ladies like looking around like, and all the other people in the waiting room were all in on it too, and they just kept waiting. They did their thing. They made no mention of the smoke. They weren't like, "Oh my God, guys, it's smoking here." They they just acted like nothing happened, and nothing was happening. And the lady just sat there. She was like, "I guess it's okay." But then they did it again with someone else, and or it couldn't have been the same person because the jig would have been up, I think. But um they did it with someone else, and, like, every time it was just the person just on their own. They got up and they left. They were like, "Oh my gosh," they reported it. And but when there was other people around and they were acting like nothing was wrong, they just were like, "Oh, I guess, everybody else, you know, it's fine, so I'm not gonna worry about it." So interesting. Okay, I see some comments. Um, Both studies, I am sure, were sketchy in terms of ethics and also their validity. It's all about compassion and independent thought, which is kind of what you're promoting. Right, right. Yeah. Yeah, I mean the studies, well, the Stanford prison experiment, I think they had no idea how crazy it was going to actually become, and they should have ended it well before they did. Um, but they didn't, and it was unethical for sure. Um, but it's still very interesting to see the results. And I'm not saying it was worth it, but it happened, and it's interesting though. But let's see. Yeah, the electrocute one. Yeah, yeah. They didn't actually electrocute, but he made them think that they were right. Right. I mean, that's. I hope that they told them afterwards, like, "Hey, sorry about just to let you know, you weren't actually electrocuting anyone." Yikes. Um, I don't know. It just Yeah. I mean, I'm definitely not in support of doing experiments that are gonna traumatize people. Um, but I didn't conduct these experiments, and I'm not promoting any more of them, but they already have been done. So it's interesting to, see. But anyway, let's see. Like talking about how you feel about your body and self, compassionate to yourself and others, and not giving into any sort of pressure either way. Exactly. Exactly. I would totally just inhale all the smoke and die because I'm British. We can't be unpolite. Again, like, I like to think to myself, like, I would I would I would know, I would go say, "Hey, there's smoke in here," but, like, I don't know that I would. It might depend on the day. I think nowadays I'm more comfortable, like, speaking up or making a scene or making a fuss or something than I used to be. Um, but definitely for a time there, I was not comfortable, just kinda, sticking my neck out or, you know, dissenting or just drawing attention to myself, I guess. And I think I'm getting better at that, which I think is a good thing. Um, Stage manager and me would have that room evacuated in minutes. I believe it. I believe it. Yeah. I mean, isn't that interesting? It's so interesting. Well, and then there's like the whole bystander effect too that they've talked about, which wasn't an experiment. I mean, I'm sure they've done experiments on or for that, but where people, they can observe that when there's a group of people and something bad happens, the sense of responsibility is distributed, kind of amongst the group or watered down. And then people don't feel personally responsible for anything that happens, like to help or something. Um, let's see, hold on, let me see here. Came late and backed it up. I'm working on folding the laundry while you sew, hoping to get to the sewing soon now. Well, have fun with your folding. um, I hate folding laundry. Ugh, I need to do my wardrobe purge soon. Mm. Ugh, my wardrobe purge. I really hardly have any clothes that I actually wear. Got a lot of stuff I don't wear. Either doesn't fit me or it's just not my style, and I'm not very good at putting my clothes away when they're clean. Like I have a clothes mountain that I showed in my sewing room cleaning video, which I need to clean again. You know what? Maybe I'll do a live one of these days and just kind of like tidy. I have been doing a better job at keeping it tidy. It's getting a little out of hand though, actually at this point with all these unfinished projects. But um yeah. Yeah, we should do like a tidying session, or I will and you can if you want to too. But yeah. Well, I didn't get that far with this shirt today, but I finished all the darts. And let's see, what else do I have to do? So I'm gonna serge the edges or the seam allowances. And luckily this pattern is 5/8 inch seam allowances. So typically when I serge, I just cut off like an eighth of an inch and then I just sew everything with like a quarter of an inch. Um, or half an inch seam allowance, geez. Um, and then yeah, I don't have to worry too much about counting and measuring and all that stuff. But anyway, so I need to finish the edges, whatever. Um, sew the side seams, sew the facing side seams, um, sew the shoulder seams, and sew the collar. And you know what? There is no back collar facing. And I was kind of like, I guess I'll just do it how the pattern calls for, but I think I am gonna just draft a quick one. Because I really don't like that it doesn't have a back collar facing, or like neckline facing rather. It's so annoying knowing how to do things the correct way because, like, I have a hard time cutting well, okay, about certain things. I have a hard time cutting corners. Um, no, actually, I have a hard time cutting corners, so that it takes a lot of effort to actually do whatever it is or, like, get going because I know that if I commit to doing something, I'm gonna have to do it the right way, and it's just like, but anyway, yeah, I mean, it's not gonna take me that long to sew this thing. It's gonna have some hand sewing for the collar, but actually might not if I do the back neckline facing. It is gonna have some hand sewing. I definitely want to, I think tack uh, the neckline facing to the shirt, like along the facing lines, and I'm gonna just do that by hand and do little like pick stitching, I think, because I have that one Simplicity 8447, the white, it's like a linen, excuse me, linen run blend, like 1940s style shirt that I love so much, but I cannot stand that the thing, when I gets all like bunched up and stuff. And even if I iron it, it's still it just never. So I'm thinking for this, I'm gonna actually hand stitch along the facing, like, and it'll be sort of, it'll be like more vintagey and like uh, almost a design feature, maybe. I don't know. I'll do it, and then if I end up hating it or if it's like too delicate or something, I won't do that for any other shirts. But that would be the first time that I'll do that with this shirt, and so it'll be sort of a test. And like I said, it's supposed to be a wearable mocha, wearable muslin, wearable toile, whatever. So that will be my experiment. I'm going to get off of here. I've been doing this for 130 minutes. Ooh, that's a long time. Um, what's that? An hour and 40 minutes? Wow. Well, it's been lovely. It's been a lovely chat with you guys. Um, okay. Sophie, oh, Liz, thank you for the interesting thoughts and sewing advice. I've subscribed and will make sure to use your links if I need to purchase something. I need to go to sleep. It's nearly 2 a.m. night. Um, well, if you're gone already, then bye. If you're not, then good night and thanks for hanging out. Um, Alex, I missed you. I missed that you were here. I need a motivation to sew session. Okay, let's do that. Let's do a sewing motivation session. Let's do a cleaning session. Um, let's do some other sessions. And oh, here we go. It like wouldn't load the other comments. Night, Liz. Night, Stephanie. All right. You all are lovely, and I will see you next time. I'm not sure when that will be. I'm so dumb. I thought it was 7 Pacific. LOL. um, 7 Pacific. 7. Well, oh, you mean, oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, next time I will put EST for my when I say what time it's going to be at. But I'm going to post this whole thing on my channel if you're interested in watching it later. So, anyway, all right. Good night, everyone, or good good morning, whatever time of the day it is. I will see you next time.